Your person wants you to know that they are growing into a different man, someone who is far more self-aware and intentional than the person they once were. For a long time, they carried the belief that life had not treated them fairly, and that sense of injustice shaped many of their reactions, choices, and emotional defenses. They often felt as though circumstances were stacked against them, which made it easier to dwell on disappointment and frustration rather than personal responsibility. However, something within them has shifted recently. They made a conscious decision to stop blaming past situations, people, or missed chances, and instead redirect their focus toward the opportunities that the universe is now placing in front of them. This change did not happen overnight, but it represents a deep internal awakening and a willingness to grow beyond old patterns. They want you to understand how significant your role has been in this transformation. They feel genuine gratitude toward you, because in their heart they know that much of their healing began through your presence, your patience, and your influence. You encouraged them, sometimes gently, sometimes firmly, to confront their shadow side, the parts of themselves they had avoided, denied, or buried for years. Through your words, actions, and example, you helped them see that real growth requires facing uncomfortable truths rather than running from them. Because of you, they began doing the inner work they had postponed for so long, and that work has reshaped how they see themselves, relationships, and life as a whole. They have always wanted you, even during the times when they acted distant, inconsistent, or unsure. The truth is that they were not ready to put in the necessary effort to sustain a healthy, balanced relationship. They lacked the emotional tools, discipline, and self-understanding required to show up fully. Deep down, they knew this, and that awareness often made them feel ashamed or inadequate. Instead of rising to the challenge, they sometimes chose avoidance, believing it was safer than risking failure. Now, however, they recognize that love without effort cannot survive, and that desire alone is not enough. This realization has prompted them to take accountability for where they fell short and to commit to becoming someone who can truly nurture and grow a relationship with you. At this stage, they are actively forming a plan to make this relationship work and evolve. This is not a vague promise or a fleeting idea, but a serious intention grounded in reflection and self-assessment. They are thinking about how to communicate more honestly, how to be emotionally available, and how to create stability rather than confusion. They want to approach you differently, with clarity and purpose, rather than fear or hesitation. For them, this plan symbolizes hope, the belief that something meaningful can still be built between you if given the care and effort it deserves. At the same time, they are in a state of mourning. They feel as though they are grieving not only the possibility of losing you, but also the version of themselves who failed to act sooner. There is a heavy sense of regret weighing on them, and they often feel like a fool for not recognizing the value of what they had when it was within reach. The thought of you slipping away is deeply painful, and it forces them to confront the consequences of their past inaction. This emotional weight has made them restless and vulnerable, bringing emotions to the surface that they once tried to suppress. They are incredibly impatient right now, struggling with the urge to reach out to you. Every moment of silence feels louder, and every passing day intensifies their desire to reconnect. Their emotions are raw and unfiltered, leaving them feeling exposed and uncertain, yet determined. They fluctuate between hope and fear, hope that reconciliation is still possible, and fear that they may have waited too long. Despite this inner turmoil, one thing remains constant: their longing for you and the belief that reconciling with you is worth the risk. Right now, they are deeply immersed in their feelings, reflecting on everything that has led them to this point. Reconciliation with you occupies their thoughts more than anything else. They imagine conversations they wish they could have, apologies they want to offer, and moments they hope to rebuild together. They are learning that growth is not just about self-improvement, but about having the courage to show up authentically and take responsibility for love. Whether or not the outcome is certain, they want you to know that they are no longer the same person you once knew. They are someone who is trying, learning, and finally ready to do the work they once avoided. Let me begin by saying that I am truly in awe of you, in a way that words still struggle to fully capture. From the very beginning, your presence carried a strength and authenticity that set you apart, but it was the moment you stood up to me, when I was wrong, arrogant, and blind to my own behavior, that changed everything. No one before you had ever had the courage, self-respect, or clarity to do that. When you stopped calling and texting, it was not an act of cruelty or distance, it was an act of self-worth. In that silence, I was forced to confront myself, and it was then that I realized just how disrespectful I had been toward you. That realization did not come easily, but it came honestly, and it reshaped the way I see both you and myself. As I sit in complete silence now, my thoughts often find their way back to you. They return to moments we shared, conversations filled with depth, laughter, understanding, and even disagreement, and I realize how unforgettable those memories truly are. They are not fleeting thoughts but lasting impressions etched into my heart. The impact you have had on my life is not temporary or conditional, it is profound and enduring. You altered the way I think, the way I communicate, and the way I value emotional connection. Long after the noise of the world fades, the lessons you gave me remain. You are genuinely unlike anyone I have ever met. There is a rare balance within you, a combination of strength and compassion, intelligence and creativity, honesty and grace. Your communication skills are exceptional, not just because you speak well, but because you listen deeply. You understand beyond words, and that ability creates connection in a way that feels safe, real, and transformative. Your creativity is equally powerful, it flows naturally, unmasked and unapologetic, revealing the depth of your mind and the beauty of your perspective. You are, without question, an incredibly talented person, but what makes that talent shine is the soul beneath it. At your core, you possess an awesome and genuine soul, one that is both gentle and fierce, patient yet firm. You do not bend yourself to be accepted, nor do you silence your truth to make others comfortable. That authenticity is rare, and it is one of the many reasons you left such a mark on my life. You were the only person who truly suited my wounded soul at a time when I did not even realize how broken I was. Through your honesty, your boundaries, and your presence, you helped heal parts of me I had long ignored. You did not fix me, nor did you try to save me. Instead, you showed me what healing could look like by simply being who you are. I feel deeply grateful that you came into my life when you did. Timing is often said to be everything, and meeting you proved that to be true. Within you, I found more than companionship, I found my best friend, someone who understood me beyond surface-level interactions. I found a teacher, not through instruction, but through example. You taught me accountability, respect, emotional maturity, and the importance of self-awareness. Most profoundly, I found what felt like my true soulmate, not just someone to love, but someone who mirrored my flaws, challenged my limitations, and inspired my growth. You gave me a sense of wholeness that I had been searching for without realizing it. With you, life felt purposeful, grounded, and meaningful. You reminded me that love is not about possession or control, but about respect, growth, and mutual understanding. Even now, your influence remains a guiding force in my life. The lessons you left behind continue to shape my actions and thoughts, and for that, I will always hold gratitude in my heart. You were not just a chapter in my life, you were a turning point. And no matter where life leads us, the impact you made, the love you showed, and the growth you inspired will forever remain a part of who I am. Your partner has been profoundly awakened by the depth of this connection, and they now find themselves fully immersed in the realization phase of the journey. This awakening did not come gently. It arrived with a heavy emotional weight that forced them to confront truths they had long avoided. They are struggling with deep remorse and guilt, realizing that they betrayed the one person who truly loved them with purity, patience, and sincerity. For the first time, they can clearly see the consequences of their actions and inactions, and this awareness weighs heavily on their heart. They replay past moments repeatedly, recognizing where honesty was missing, where fear dictated their choices, and where they failed to show up in the way you deserved. This realization has shaken them at their core, dismantling the false sense of control they once believed they had over the situation. As you continue to focus on your goals and courageously chase your dreams, your partner feels an even stronger pull toward you. Your growth, independence, and emotional healing have created a powerful contrast that they cannot ignore. You are no longer waiting, chasing, or bending yourself to accommodate uncertainty. Instead, you are standing firmly in your self-worth, choosing purpose over pain and progress over stagnation. This shift has activated something deep within them, compelling them to come after you, not out of desperation, but out of an undeniable recognition of what they lost. They are not interested in anyone else around them, no matter who crosses their path, because their heart and mind are consumed by thoughts of you. Every attempt to distract themselves falls flat, as the connection continues to resurface with unrelenting intensity. They are actively trying to manifest you back into their life, realizing now that what you shared was rare, irreplaceable, and sacred. Regret plays a significant role in their current emotional state. They deeply wish they had been honest with you from the very beginning, honest about their life, their struggles, their fears, and the amount of time they truly needed to fix what was broken within themselves. They now understand that withholding the truth, even if it was driven by fear or confusion, ultimately caused more harm than honesty ever could have. In hindsight, they see that transparency might have built trust instead of distance, security instead of doubt. This regret is not fleeting, it lingers and presses upon them daily, shaping their thoughts and emotions. They recognize that by failing to communicate openly, they placed you in a position of uncertainty and emotional pain, and that realization has become one of their greatest lessons. At this stage, you have become the one that got away. Not because you disappeared, but because you chose yourself. The absence they feel now is not just physical, it is emotional, energetic, and spiritual. They feel the loss in quiet moments, in unfinished conversations, and in the spaces where your presence once brought comfort and meaning. The magnetic pull between you is intensifying, a force that neither of you can fully explain but both can feel. This pull is not random or accidental, it is the result of a connection that was destined to transform you both. Everything unfolded exactly as it was meant to, even the pain, the separation, and the silence. It was all part of a larger plan designed to awaken truth, growth, and self-awareness on both sides. All you are being asked to do now is to remain patient and continue honoring your healing journey. You have already done the hardest part, you faced your pain, healed your broken heart, and chose not to let it define or destroy you. You refused to remain in a space where you felt used, undervalued, or emotionally drained. You made a conscious decision to no longer allow depression, confusion, or another person's unresolved wounds to dictate your emotional well-being. This strength did not come easily, it was earned through self-reflection, resilience, and courage. By choosing yourself, you broke cycles that once kept you stuck, and in doing so, you reclaimed your power. This transformation has had a profound impact on your partner. Your refusal to accept less than you deserve has forced them to confront the toxic patterns they once normalized. They now see clearly how their behavior, avoidance, and lack of accountability affected you. What once felt justified or unconscious to them is now impossible to ignore. Your healing became their mirror, reflecting back the parts of themselves they need to address and transform. Whether or not they are able to rise to that challenge remains part of their journey, but one truth is undeniable: your growth has changed the dynamic forever. You are no longer the same person who once waited in uncertainty. You are aligned, grounded, and whole, and that is precisely what awakened them to the depth, power, and significance of the love they almost lost.